Hello, and thank you for joining me here on Sew Stitch Hex. Today, I want to do some recommends for kids. So, I don't have children. I do have a sister and a sister who's passed. And I have always wanted to adopt one day because I don't want biological children. But I've always been on the lookout for children's books because I love children's books. More specifically, of recent years, I've been looking for more and more magical or kind of witchy children's books that would be great for kids. And I thought I would share some of my favorites. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Unless I counted wrong, I have 11 books to share. Not all of them are innately witchy, but they're all pretty great in my book. So one is The Spider and the Fly. It's a classic. I love it. I once dressed as the Fly for a favorite fictional character day in elementary school. It wasn't extremely extra, but it's a beautiful book. It's all black and white. And I find that lovely. Give you a better view. There we are. So it's the idea that there is this spider and she's invited to the parlor of the Fly. Will you walk into my parlor, said the spider to the Fly. 'Tis the prettiest little parlor that you ever did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and I have many curious things to show you when you are there. Oh, no, no, said the little Fly, to ask me is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can ne'er come down again. And he's serving bugs to dinner, and she just looks she's so dapper, she's so cute. She's like, oh, no, no, said the little Fly, kind sir, that cannot be. I've heard what's in your pantry, and I do not wish to see. He dazzles her, and he treats her so, nicely. He flatters her, and then he kidnaps her. And all the bugs were warning her, all these ghostly bugs, please watch out, he's not good, look at this book. And the ghosts are just pointing to this book, How to Cook Bugs. And you're like, no, please. And she just won't see the signs. She won't notice the red flags. And in the end, and now, dear little children, who may this story read, to idle, silly, flattering words, I pray you ne'er give heed, until the evil counselor close heart and ear and eye, and take a lesson from this tale of the spider and the fly. And then there's just a picture of the ghost consoling the ghosts of the spider and the fly. It's just the fly, but it's like her dinner. She's kind of there, and just like, oh, I messed up. And this is one of my favorites. I love this children's book. And everything's my favorite. I have no sense of favoritism. If I love something, I love it. All of it. It's just the best. It's so great. I love it. Another one that's more recent that I really enjoy, book 2. It's Babushka Baba Yaga. And it is so cute. I forgot to say, The Spider and the Fly is by Tony Dieterlizzi. No sé. Based on the 1829, it's a little dyslexic moment, I guess, on the 1829 poem by Mary Howitt, and it's illustrated by him. Cautionary tale. You know about those. Patricia Polacco wrote this adorable little book. So, in Babushka Baba Yaga is about Baba Yaga, who always wants to be a grandmother. She always wanted to have a little grandbaby to love, and she sees someone who does not have a grandmother. And so she steals clothes off of a clothing line where they're drying, and goes out and just walks into someone's house who she heard didn't have it. Straight up walks into someone's house. I'm just like, Baba Yaga, no. But she's good. We're good. She's all good. No one's upset. No one's concerned. Even, I guess they left the door unlocked and apparently open. She just walked in. But she's like, I'd love to live here. I can cook and clean. And they're like, okay. Because she's like, I don't have anything to give you. Well, that's fine. I'll just stay here. Take care of him. That's fine. And she's like, all right. So she becomes the grandmother for this kid. Just walks into their lives. And then they're telling scary stories, kind of like little urban legends at the park, all the grandmothers. And then one's like, no, the most horrible of them all. It's the story of the evil Baba Yaga. And oh, look how happy they are when he gets a little grandma. And she takes him everywhere. But he has, after they tell the horrible story of the evil Baba Yaga who eats children in the woods, the little boy has nightmares. He has horrible nightmares, and Baba Yaga doesn't know what to do. So Baba Yaga leaves. Well, one day, the little boy is being attacked by wolves because he got too close to the woods because he missed being with Baba Yaga. And then Baba Yaga comes out, and everyone's afraid that she's going to eat him because that's what she's known for. But instead, she hugs him because he knows it's his grandma. So he's got her. And they're happy. And so she gets to come back and dress up like a grandma and be there. And I'm wondering, isn't she this ethereal being that lives forever? So she's going to live forever and watch them die and maybe get great-grandbabies and great-great-grandbabies and great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandbabies. Maybe. I don't know. Questions left unanswered. But I think this is a great children's book. Book 3. Cinderella Skellington. And I always call her Cinderella. Cinderella. Robert D. Souci, with illustrated by David Cameron. This one is so elegant and colorful. So it's just the tale of Cinderella, but instead of losing a slipper, she loses her whole foot. Yup. Now, of course, it's that basic tale of Cinderella, except she has this cute little dandelion on her head that I adore. Really great book. Great for children. It's just another way to tell the Cinderella story that I find a little more spooky, and it just gets them accustomed to the dead. In this case, you have actual skeletons. And the skeleton, I don't know, it gives you, I'm saying skeleton, kind of like Jack Skellington instead of skeleton. I'm having problems. It's really cute. There's bugs in here, and for someone who's into vulture culture, I find this to be an excellent way to, I guess, normalize bones, normalize the bugs, normalize the dead. It's not something to be afraid of. They are also people. And I like this. That's a retelling. So that was book number 3. Book number 4 is absolutely, completely adorable. It is Cat Witch by Una Woodruff. Text by Lisa Tuttle. It's a very text-heavy book, so not very easy to read by any means. But so far of the books we've read, the easiest to read would be book number 1, Spider and the Fly. Baba Yaga's a bit text-heavy, and Cinderella Skeleton is rhyming, which I didn't read from. Cinderella Skellington recalled too late the witch's warning. She broke from Charnel's Charnel's dear embrace and hurried to escape the palace. Charnel cried, "You're my answered prayer," but Cinderella fled down the stair, distressed how near it was to morning. Cinderella Skeleton, her haste as haste will, brought mishap, as she ran for her waiting carriage, pursuing Prince shouting offers of marriage. She stumbled once, giving Charnel time to grab her foot and cry, "You're mine!" Then off her foot came with a snap. So, like, that one's in rhyme. Just like Spider and the Fly. I like rhyming. But that book, a little bit more challenging comparatively, especially since there's such large blocks of text compared to the other one, which has smaller blocks. Still a little challenging for, like, little ones, but it's fun to be read to. And you'll catch on relatively easy depending on your reading level. This one is very hard. Like, I read this one because I found it as an adult, but it's, like, dense. Like, it has text. It's not for the youngins. It's a good children's book, but it's one to be read to, not read yourself. This one is about a cat who's born on a farm and doesn't really like this boring provincial life. There must be more to this provincial life. Well, he finds it. He becomes a cat witch. He just finds a witch in the woods who happened to, spoiler, I guess. This is the whole thing. Happened to find the same witch that was his grandmother or great-grandmother's witch. She was a cat witch. And she left and, had a normal life. And he finds her and is like, oh, I want to be a witch, and learns all about it. He gets to visit the land of fairy. He gets to save a unicorn. He gets to save the witch. And he gets to save fairyland from being destroyed by this dick of a warlock. He saves everyone. And he's just a cat. And it's great. And there's some talking doves. There's actually a really fun part I'll read. I found quite hilarious. I guess it's a bit of an adult joke, but let me find it. Talking to the doves. So, I don't see it. I don't see where it's at. Basically, the joke is, it's a long section anyway. The cat's talking to the doves, which are bought from a magician, like a magic magician. Not like a magic magician, but a stage magic. And they have random assorted things, and he's like, aren't your chicks going to be doves? He's like, that wouldn't be a magic trick. Because all of their chicks end up being random birds, like a robin and a crow and all these other random things. And the joke is, it wouldn't be a magic trick if they made doves. That would be the birds and the bees. And I found that quite comical, as it were. It was too funny for me. A child wouldn't have got it. I didn't get it the first time I read through it, but something seemed off about that paragraph, so I reread it. But that was book number 4. Book number 5, also a little challenging to read, but it's by Jan Brett. It's Comet, it's 9 Lives. Now, this is a oceany one, so for sea witches, this might be the one for you and your kids. This is number 5. So, this one is also more necromancy and death kind of themed. Basically, and it kind of has fate in there too, and counting. So, Comet is a cat. It's a beautiful illustration. And Comet was born 30 miles out to sea on Nantucket Island. He grew up wandering all over the island, staying a few days here and there, here and a few days there. Excuse me. One summer day, Comet stopped in a garden to nibble some tasty-looking foxgloves. First, they made him feel woozy. Then he fell into a deep sleep. When Comet woke up, he felt fine but different. Oops! He realized he'd lost the first of the 9 lives cats have when it is born. So, yeah, there's a little ghost cat that's kind of terrifying as it floats away dead. But it's about the little 9 lives of this cat. So it goes through, and all the while, one of the times he dies, he goes into, a dog show. Which is an actual dog show, a dog dressed up doing the can-can. Because, dogs are people. Yeah, dogs are people, but cats are just cats. So, but I don't know. It's one of them worlds where you're just kind of questioning the role of the animals and what are animals. Like when you watch Monster High and you're like, so you have a gargoyle like Rochelle Goyle, but then you also have the gargoyles that are lesser than human status, I guess. Where do we draw the line? Is it who wears the pants and who doesn't? So in this case, they're looking for a cat for their lighthouse. And they do have a cat, but they're looking for another cat. And this dog that works at the lighthouse just keeps missing him. And in the sides, you have little margins and pictures. And the dog is in every little full page. You'll see him somewhere. And it's just kind of they're looking for him. And then it ends with them finding each other. He finds him at life number 8. The surf carried him in, and he lost one of his lives. And the cat finds him. And it's so heartwarming. And he's like, And as the fall days turned into winter, Comet knew exactly where he wanted to live for the rest of his life. And it's like, that's really cute. And it teaches you to value every day. And it also kind of briefly mentions, like, pay attention to your surroundings. Because he does not. He does not at all. He just eats foxglove, goes into a dangerous situation like the dog show, gets carried out to sea, lots of silly things. And that's book number 5. So book number 6 is Skeleton Hiccups. And it's just a cute book. It's definitely one that younger children can read by themselves. My copy is so, like, damaged. But basically, the skeleton has the hiccups, and he tries everything he can to get rid of it, and he can't. He ends up being shown a mirror and scaring himself into not hiccuping anymore. What's the best way to help a skeleton get over his bone-rattling, teeth-chattering, belly-laughing hiccups? And it's just really cute, and it's mostly, I think it would be good for small children for reading, just learning, but nothing worked. Hic, 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 the hiccup stayed. Hic, hic, hic. Ghost told skeleton, hic, 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 hold your breath. Hic, hic, hic. And it goes on and on and on. And I find it really cute. It's really short, really simple. But you could have fun. It would make them laugh. A little cute little story. So there's book number 6. Book number 7, not innately witchy, but it's cats. And, you know, a witch usually has a cat. This one's Cookie's Week, which was always one of my favorites. And it just talks about the week of a cat, which is good for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously, this is a very easy book along the lines of Skeleton Hiccups. So, like, very, very early levels, reading levels. It was one of my favorites. I actually used it as a cop-out when I didn't feel like reading. I used to write it down as a book I'd read for the week, and I was told I had to read another book. And for a minute, my teachers thought that I had a really low reading level, but I was honestly like, I'm just not interested in the books you're giving me, and I want to play outside. Like, leave me alone. But that was elementary school. Other times, you could not get me to put books down. It just depends. But this just kind of talks about, like, Cookie's Week. And on Saturday, Cookie kind of gets... He climbs up the curtains, gets hurt, and on Sunday he takes the day off. And it just kind of reminds kids, like, you're playing around, be careful, and then, like, also to chill out, and reminds them about the week. So I don't know, I think that's a cute one. Alright, that is book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's 8. 8 is The Dangerous Alphabet, and it's very, very colorful. Oh, Skeleton Hiccups, I forgot to mention, is by Margery, Cuyler. Cookie's Week is by Cindy Ward and Tommy DePaolo. The Dangerous Alphabet is Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Chris Grimley, and it is so lovely. A is for always, that's where we embark. And it's very, like, steampunk. And this is just, it's a little bit, it's not, like, hard. It's, S is for somewhere, a skull, and it's smile. So it's not really a hard book, but it's definitely very detailed, and I think it's a cute book, and it teaches the alphabet, and it's kind of spooky. So there's that one. 8. This one is Which Witch's Wand Works. So this one is really cute. It's by Polly Bernatene. And this is a story about a witch called Rattle, a witch called Ricket, and their cat called Rummy. Which teaches alliteration, but you know. This is Rattle. She has trouble flying in very strong winds. And she's like stuck in a tree. And this is Rummy. Oh. And this is Ricket. She has trouble flying at all. She's a bit heavy set. But she's trying. That's something. I like her eyelashes. And then I like her stockings over here. They're both wearing the same stockings, but her legs are like sticks. She blends in with the tree. And this is Rummy. He would rather walk. And it's a cat. Makes me think of Gigi and Kiki's Delivery Service. Like, yeah. Every Friday evening, Rattle, Ricket, and Rummy sit down to watch their favorite show on TV. Which witch's wand works? I could do better than that, said Rattle. Well, I could do better than you could, replied Ricket. Oh, really? I could do better than you think you could do when you're trying to do better than I could, said Rattle with a snort. Ha! I can definitely do even better than that, although you think you can do better than I can do better, shouted Ricket. Rattle knew there was only one way to settle their argument. I challenge you to a spell-casting contest, she cried. And they look like they're watching a horror show, so I don't, know what they're watching. Maybe it's, Kitchen Nightmares, but, Witchin' Nightmares. Maybe that should be trademarked. I should look into that. Yeah. But so they're like legs of spiders. The witches carried on, and the spells flew back and forth. Shell of snows, fireflies' wings, and wombat tails. Legs of bugs and trails of slugs. Ah! Ah! And, he gets carried off in the garbage truck. And there's a whole party with all kinds of monsters, and the cat has to clean it all up. But it's just, rhyming. It's really fun. Kind of like a little who's better, but they're not. They're both equally as good. And I think that's cute. Book number 10. Where Does My Cat Sleep? So this one's not innately witchy at all either. But it's inquisitive. Because the cat... And this book is old. My Nana bought this one for me when I was a wee babe. Ancient. It has no color, but is so lovely. So it's inquisitive, and it teaches her to be aware of her surroundings. It teaches you to look and always ask, I know he's done this, and I know he's done that. You ask, where do they sleep? You talk about where the cat sleeps, and it just kind of shows you to look around, pay attention to your surroundings, and it's just so cute. My copy is ancient, might I remind you. But it's Norma Simon and Pictures by Dora Leder. So that tells you how old it is. Pictures by Dora Leder. Not illustrated by. They did the pictures. Yep. But I find this one to be cute just for teaching curiosity, teaching to pay attention to what's going on. They're like, where does mommy and daddy sleep? And my cat sleeps here, my cat sleeps here, my cat sleeps here. Keeps you looking, keeps them watching. It gives them the idea. And it's kind of like a fun little book, especially if you like cats. I like cats. I'm allergic to cats, but I like cats. Allergies do not change my love. Another one, which is super cute, which is Anjou. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. You can get this one on Amazon. That's where I was recommended it, was Amazon. It's Spell School for Little Witches presents How Hazel Became a Witch. And this one is a bit harder of a read, just because it is big blocks of text. As you can see, it's really cute. So, basically she goes around gathering things. And she is a witch all along, and that's what they kind of teach you in the end. Without realizing it, Hazel had created the magic she collected on her journey many times before. Can you think of ways in which you have created your own magic? List them here. It's got cute little questions. In the end, her reflection smiled and said, yes, you have all the magic of the world right inside of you, and that makes you a witch. A stirring inside of Hazel rose through her heart to her outstretched arms, and that felt like magic to Hazel. She was a witch, not because of crystals or the moon or a cat named Time, but because she believed in her power to change the world. Her own magic lit the path wherever her journey took her. And it's so cute, and self-empowerment, and I think that's a cute thing to teach kids. And she does learn. It teaches you to look for things. So she starts off, she learns about plants. She learns about lavender because she's looking like, what will make me a witch? I will go on a journey and collect all the magic in the world. That will make me a witch. She collects lavender. She learns yoga and about crystals. She learns about pendulums, and she talks to animals, where she gets her physical manifestation of her familiar, her cat, Time. And she meditates. She learns about more books. You see, she's gathering knowledge and resources, and she's learning about becoming a witch, what it means to be a witch. and she talks to the moon, which shows, speaking to that being that you may not can see or touch. Yes, you can see the moon, but it doesn't talk back to, loudly to anyone. It's the idea that you learn to talk to the deities, and you see the goddess in the moon, and you speak to her. And it's that idea, like, you learn. And here, she's like, oh, I know just the thing that will make me a witch. And she pulls out her grimoire and flipped to a recipe she remembered as a child. So it's teaching you to keep records, which is important. And she creates an altar, which I think is absolutely precious. Her little altar with all the things she's collected and her cute little bookcase in the background. Those are always so cute, but not practical for me because, like, triangle, really? What am I going to put on that? But she does that, and she learns about her reflection, and I feel like this is a great representation of teaching your children scrying. Although, be careful teaching your children scrying, but, fun times. I love this one. And this is a great one to end on, is like how she became a witch. She was a witch all along. And that's what I really like about this. This is book 11 out of my little list of books that I think are great for kids. If you have witchy children or are trying to incorporate it into there, because although I don't like the practice of forcing religion onto children, there are many other books that I'm really interested in, which is teaching children the wheel of the year, teaching them about the seasons, teaching them about the elements. There's many other books that I haven't got, but I mostly find mine one by one in Amazon and Goodwill. Goodwill is a wonderful place to find books. That's where I found most of these. That's where I found my copy of Cinderella Skellington. That's where I found my copy of the Witch's Wand Works of Skeleton Hiccups, The Dangerous Alphabet. I found my copy. I had a previous copy, but I lost it. But Comet Sign Lives, that's where I found this current copy. And I also found my copy of, what is it? Which one was it? My copy of Cookie's Week. That's where I found that one. That one used to be my favorite when I was little, but it disappeared. The Cat Witch I found at my local thrift store, and the Spider and the Fly I had to order on Amazon, and it was really expensive. I ended up, I think, ordering it from Thrift Books, because that one was hard to find, because that's a really good book. It's a really good classic. It's hard to find, of course, the ones you love. But, yeah, so, like, I really don't like the idea of forcing religion onto children. Like, sure, get them baptized when they're babies. Get them to baptize themselves again when they're an adult. But are you really asking them? Do they know what they're doing? Like, I asked questions. I was like, who was God's mom? What's God's real name? Like, why does... these are questions I asked. And the preacher is just like, I don't know. Why are you asking me? Kind of. And it was like, that's not okay. Like, I have questions. Why do I have to make this commitment if I have questions that aren't answered? And he's like, you should make the commitment anyway, but you really should, be okay without the answer. So I just did it when I was little. I don't think that counts. I don't think that's fair. You shouldn't make children decide. Like, no, I'm not telling you how to raise your children, but this is an important thing to think about. Like, this is their spirituality. This is their religion. Why are you forcing it on them? Give them all the facts. Give them all the books. Give them all the knowledge. Sure, take them to church. I love church. Church is fun. It's got music, depending on what church you go to. The good church has got music. Got music. You get to sing. I like to just yell and tune with other people. That's great. You got crafts. I love crafts. Crafts are the best. You got story time. It is just glorified story time. And there's usually snacks. Like, what isn't there to love? I mean, that's just perfect right there. And you get to dress nice. That's always wonderful. So it's like all of my favorite things in one place. And the place is beautiful. Usually, not all churches. Some churches are very simple in their beauty. But some churches are like, whoa, where did you get the money to build this? And it's just glorious. And I absolutely think you should take your kids to different experiences. When I was little, I asked to go to different churches. When I was little, I went to Baptist church, I went to Catholic church, I went to a couple of other churches with other friends. That's places that I wanted to go. But you should also give them the opportunity to learn about other things. If you're a witch and you're like, I don't want my kid to be Christian, that's not fair. What if your kid wants to? So, yeah, it's stepping out of your comfort zone, but you don't know their comfort zone yet. They're just a child. Give them the opportunity to learn, just like this. How do you become a witch? You learn. Just seek out and find new things. In all of these, you're paying attention to your surroundings, you're learning new things, you're being inquisitive, and you find your place eventually, just like Comet. And that's why I think these are really good witchy books for children, because they're not explicitly like, hey, here's the god and here's the goddess. It's respect the dead. Pay attention to what you're doing. Learn things. Don't ignore obvious signs. And so, yeah, these are my recommends. Tell me what you think. What are some kids, books for kids that you would recommend? I know there's a few that I've seen on Amazon I'm really willing to get at some point. What do you think? All right, leave a comment below. Tell me which ones you think you're interested in, if you remember any of these, if you've ever read any of these. If you want to read some of these, because, just because it's a kid's book doesn't mean we shouldn't read it. Kids are reading it. We should know what they're reading. Helps us relate and understand where they're coming from. And, spend time with people. All right. Thank you for joining me here on Sew Stitch Hex. And this was Witchy Books for Witchy Kids. All right. Bye.